welcome back to the So Off Script podcast. My name is Jessica Taylor and I am your host. And this week, you guys, I am so excited because not only do we have a guest, we have like a living legend in the studio with us today. The one, the only Miss Donna Richardson Joyner is joining us. And she's joining us. I'm so excited that she's here today. But most importantly, her resume reads like none other. I mean, she's done some of the most amazing things on TV, from fitness to training to Bunza Sale. But most importantly, right now, her and her mom are the owners of Mama Laverne's Chicken and Waffles. And given that this is Black Business Month, we wanted to kick off this month with one of my favorite Black-owned businesses, being Miss Donna Richardson Joyner with her Mama Laverne's Chicken and Waffles. And for those who know, I think I told you this.
What?
I'm from Atlanta.
Yes.
We had Roberta's. I had never had chicken and waffles until I had yours at
I remember you
Albert's.
telling me that.
Like, never had it before. So I'm just so happy that you're here and that you're joining us today for
Thank you
Black
for
Business.
having me. I'm just honored and humbled to be here with you. And, you may talk about all my accolades, but I am very excited and happy for all the success that you have. And I can relate to you because we're business women. We stepped out on faith and started the business in the midst of a pandemic.
Yeah.
And here we are growing and scaling the businesses to be successful and to have a legacy.
That part, most importantly. I think one thing too that you mentioned that I don't think a lot of people talk about is when we talk about business, the
Yes.
importance of having a tribe, right? Like,
Mhm.
so for those, I know you guys are just tuning
Yes.
in, but I'm here with Donna Richardson Joyner. She is the founder and owner of Mama Laverne's Chicken and Waffles with her mom, Miss Laverne. And I met Miss Donna at a women's empowerment event at Helen's house. Met her there
Yes.
at an event.
But we had known of each other in passing
Agreed.
years ago when the company you worked for
Yep.
was a sponsor of the Tom Joyner Foundation.
Agreed.
Yes.
Yep.
So that was the first
First
meeting.
cross. So
Yes.
yeah. So first cross. So I'm gonna go back. So first in person, like face with a name. I know you. I think I know you. Yeah, that one was there. And you had the chicken and waffles and we sampled it. And I was like, we need to get connected. Like, we're both trying to grow in this space. We're both
Yes.
trying to, do retail, because I don't think people understand not only how few people it is in retail,
Oh,
how few Black women it is in retail.
exactly. And I think, we were at Helen's place, and Helen is the most amazing woman that shows us how important it is that we have to connect
Yeah.
and support each other.
Hmm.
And she has obviously been, a supporter of both of us, but
Absolutely.
she's also connected us with other companies that she feels that can help us to grow in the space that we're in now. So I think it's important to surround yourself, like you said, with like-minded people. And I think it was very organic and authentic how our relationship just kind of blossomed from
Hmm.
there. And a lot of times you see women competing with each other. And I'm like, what's for Jessica is for Jessica.
And
What God
likewise.
has for Mama Laverne and I is for us. And I look and say, wow, look how we share information.
Hmm.
We get a lead. We don't mind saying, hey, Jessica, I got this. You may want to follow up on this. That's what it's all about,
Yeah.
because it's a win for you and it's a win for us. We all win.
And the thing about that too is the importance of understanding there's enough room for all of us to win. There's
Yes.
no need to be competitive, right? And the thing too I enjoy about our relationship is we're open and saying, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
I
And,
don't
and that,
I don't know. I don't know how do we do this? Where do we go? And you're like, no, this is how we do it. And I'm like, okay, well, let me tell you about this thing. And I think when we're thinking about in business and Black owned businesses, that's where we need to really kind of lean, is make sure we're creating a network for each other and we're supporting each other.
right. And
Right?
then I also think that that space has to be a space where you can trust the person because it allows for the vulnerability in you to come out when you don't know.
Mhm.
Because we're both new into this food industry, right?
Mhm.
And we are like students learning about it. But when we are with other people and other partners that can teach us, we are like a sponge and you just kind of soak up that information. And hopefully that you can take that and better your business, but also to better yourself.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that we have that same mindset
Mhm.
because it really takes a village.
It does. And I think too, one thing for myself is even when I started was I felt like I needed to do everything on my own. or I
Yes.
needed to touch everything, or I needed
Mhm.
to be able to see everything, or I needed to approve everything. And because it's your baby.
Yep.
But you have to get to a space where I want to say it was Benjamin Franklin. He said you hire the right people
Mhm.
and then you trust them to do the job that you hired them for.
Right.
And I read that in one of my John C. Maxwell books about leadership. And I was just like, yeah, you need to do that. And like you need to push it back, push it back, push it back. So I'm definitely I'm know if I haven't told you today, if I ain't told you this week, I so appreciate you, our relationship and just the authenticity that you have in everything that you do and even how you carry yourself. It's like clear, everyone knows you are just so genuine in
Well,
everything
I
that you
admire
do.
those same beautiful qualities in you. And, I remember my pastor, Bishop T.D. Jakes, talking about how you cannot grow and scale a business without partnerships
No, you can't.
because you cannot do it on your own. And in the beginning, yes, we are, trying to do it all because you're on a limited budget. You don't have the staff, you don't have the marketing and advertising, but you soon find out you have to have those other partnerships in order to get to the next level and then the next level. So, even a partnership such as a friendship and a
Yeah.
relationship, that is important. But he once said, being relentless will get you there, being consistent will keep you there, and being grateful and intentional will increase what's there. And I think about how you and I have continued to develop and grow in our businesses, and
Mhm.
it's because of that statement.
That partnership.
Yeah.
And the thing too is always understanding that when we get to those spaces, right? Knowing when to ask for help, right? Because you can't be relentless in everything that you do. But if you're not going to say, "Look, I need to get me some additional support
Right.
in this space," you're not going to grow, right?
Right.
And I think a lot of times when we talk about business, we talk about starting a business.
Yeah.
We talk about kicking the door open.
Yes.
I bought this building, but that scale piece,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's left out of a lot of conversation because for those who are just tuning in, I'm here with Donna Richardson Joyner, and she is the founder and CEO with her mom, Miss Laverne of Mama
Yes.
Laverne's Chicken and Waffles. They are on retail shelves in Targets. You can also purchase them on Target.com. They are also on Amazon, and then also more importantly, her own website. So
Yes.
Mama Laverne's Chicken and Waffles too. But I really think that another great thing too is you're talking about scalability.
Mm-hmm.
Because you not only can you not scale without people,
Right.
you can't scale without money.
Exactly. So, and you
You need
need
some
the
money.
money to
You need
to
some money.
scale, and it's not just scaling, you've got to sustain it.
Yes.
And that's where the funds, the capital comes in.
Yeah.
And I think as any young business, you have to decide if you're going to keep 100% ownership and pass it down to the
Yeah.
next generations, or are you going to have on investors who now become owners? And depending on how much you're willing to give up in your business, then you now are allowing those investors to tell you what to do because they're now your boss
Yep.
and they're on your board, and now you are really working for them. So you have to decide, how are you going to move forward in getting the capital? Is it going to be through loans, or is it going to crowdfunding?
Crowdfunding.
There's a
Yeah.
lot of different ways. Or are you going to have investors, and what is the end game? That's what I think you have to know, and that'll determine which way you go in terms of seeking capital.
And I think to your point too, you said so much in that. So I'm gonna start with the back part, the
Okay.
end game, right? A lot of times I think people start business and it's like, I want my kids to take it over and keep in our communities, like we got to keep it, when you look around, people crank out businesses,
Right.
sell them and start something else, right?
Yes.
And so that end game is so important because are you here because you want to have this passed down, or is it something that you want to pump, make a bunch of money, move on?
Right.
Both are okay.
Yes.
They are both okay.
Yeah.
Like, I understand us wanting to pass down things, but maybe I can pass down something else that
Right.
I was able to create as a
Yes.
result of that, right?
Right. And we've seen that with Patty LaBelle is a good example.
Mhm. Love
Mm.
her down.
So you see how her pies and cakes have done really well, but she started on her own
Mhm.
and then she sold.
Mhm.
But, she's still doing cartwheels and dancing and skipping to that mailbox
Every day.
because you have to decide, are you going to be in that grind every day, which she was doing prior to selling? Now she still has, ownership. She just isn't doing that day-to-day work, and her
Mhm.
son is really running that part of it, and she's
Mhm.
on the board. So I think that was a great decision. That's a good business decision.
Mhm.
And some people didn't understand why she did it, but no, you have to understand, like you said, God gives you many gifts, and He will also open the opportunities for you to have more than one business.
Yep.
You just have to decide when it's time to move on and let that business grow, or is it going to stay within your family? And then
Yeah,
even, but see, that's a challenge too,
it
because
is.
if your family members are not business savvy, then that could trump everything.
Yeah, I've seen a few of those, and that happened. I'm gonna leave them unnamed, but
Yes.
it's been in that space. And the thing too is that even their dream? Where does that
Right.
go? When you're passing down things, you're passing down what you created, what was your baby, what was your idea.
Yes.
That does not mean that that is the same thing for somebody
And
else.
they're not going to be very as passionate as you are.
Yeah,
They're not going to be doing the grind and the grit every day, because I know every time my mom and I wake up, it is God, it is grit, it is grind, and we just thankful for His grace and mercy every day. But not everybody has that same tenacity and that same drive that you have, because that's your baby.
yeah.
And even though they can see the money
Hmm.
that they can get from it, it's still different. And
Yeah.
I think it comes back to the mindset.
Yeah. So I want to shift gears a little bit and actually
Yes.
talk about the
Hmm.
product. And talk about these amazing chicken and waffles, because one thing I noticed that was about yours is very different
Yes.
than anyone. Not only do they taste really well, and I'm not just gassing this because
Mhm.
Donna's here, but I'm
I know.
being really honest.
Well,
I go to Albernays all the time, and I
yes.
literally took Dr. Robinson, and he was trying to order something. I was like,
Uh-huh.
I need you to get these chicken and waffles, right? But no, really, there's something that's very unique about your setup with chicken waffles that I want you to kind of tell people about with
Okay.
Mama
So Mama
Laverne's.
Laverne's, it really started when I was a little girl.
Mhm.
We would go to church, and then after church, you remember the movie Soul Food?
Of
So
course.
we'd be at my grandmother's house. My mom has 9 siblings. Their families are coming there, and we're having soul food. We're dancing. We're having, some good mac and cheese and some spare ribs and chicken and waffles and shrimp and grits. But then that was family time,
Yeah.
playing cards. My mom was the queen of bid whisk, I must say.
Really?
Time to look
I
at
would never
sports.
see her as a
Oh,
card
and
player.
she's also the best dancer. My grandfather taught us all how to dance, and my mother does drop it like it's hot. But let me clarify, she says she dips it for the Lord. So, however you
Not
want to
even dipping it for
say
the Lord.
it, she cooks and
Yeah.
she dances. So that's how I grew up. It was
Yeah.
so beautiful to have that, because we've gotten away from families gathering at the
Yes.
table.
Yep.
That's when we got to like catch up and know what's going on with each
Mhm.
other and bond and strengthen ties. And now you don't see that. I remember my mother going out to visit my brother. She cooked this home cooked meal. They were used to just like putting it in the microwave and it be ready in 5 minutes. They all grabbed their meals and went to their rooms. And she knocked on every door and said, "First of all, we got to say grace. Secondly, we're going to
Yeah.
all sit at the
Get at this
table
table.
and eat and talk."
And I think it's so funny, like, not only is that kinda left our space,
Yes.
it's now the Thanksgiving thing.
Right.
And, it's fun, and I understand distance and moving and life changes and children, all those kind of things. But, my grandparents were deceased, and my mom's
Mhm.
deceased too. That
Yes.
is one thing I miss. Like,
Yes.
and it's so funny because one of my childhood friends,
Yes.
boyfriend actually, like real boyfriend,
Uh-huh.
DM'd me one day and he said, I really miss Sundays at your parents' house
Mhm.
because it was a thing.
Thing.
Like every Sunday after
Yes.
church, everybody be at our house,
Mhm.
everyone's eating. My mama had 2 children by birth.
Yes.
It's 40 children in here. They call her
Mhm.
mama,
Mama.
right?
Yes. Because that's how we grew up
Yeah,
back
I'm
in the
like,
day.
and people
Yeah.
ask to this day, people ask me, "Oh, you so and so sister?"
Yeah.
Yeah, girl.
That
No, I'm
was
not, but yeah,
that
girl.
was community that we don't have that sense of right
It's so
now.
odd.
And I just remember growing up with that. And when my grandmother passed away, my mother was the one who said, "Okay, we're going to now gather at her house." And eventually, her chicken and waffles became really, really popular. And for 25 years, Jessica, people would call my mom up and go, "Can you come to my house and cook chicken and waffles?" It could be friends, it could be colleagues, it could be celebrities. And she would get on a plane and go cook, never ever charging a dime. Because for
Mm.
her, cooking is like a love language.
Yeah.
She puts a lot of love in it, and she likes to see people enjoy that. So when you're tasting her food, she feels like you're tasting her love.
It's beautiful. It's very similar to the story, Lucille's. Have you been to that restaurant in Houston?
Yes. Uh-huh.
I was reading her story. Well, I go there all the time when I see it, but even just looking at all the presidents that she cooked for,
Yeah.
right? And it was the same thing.
Oh,
I'm
yes.
sharing my love with you. I'm
Right.
sharing my passion with you. So,
And she's cooked for, let me tell you, my mom has cooked for a lot of people, from athletes like Emmett Smith and
yeah,
Tim Brown and Rocket Ishmael. She's also, I mean, think of it, Stevie Wonder, Aretha Franklin, the OJs, Shirley Murdoch. I mean, the names go on and on and on. And I'm just so proud of her, because someone at 81 years old, you cannot tell me
mhm.
that nothing's impossible.
Okay, so let's do that. So people may
Uh-huh.
not know that.
Yes.
So Mama Laverne's
Yes.
is your mom.
Yes. She is the
Started Mama
creator.
Laverne's Chicken and Waffles
Yes.
during the pandemic
During the pandemic.
at
Yeah.
81
1 years
years
old.
old. In less than 2 years, got it from her kitchen
Yeah.
to retail shelves
In
in
restaurants.
Target
Yeah.
and on restaurants menus as the only black owned
The only
menu
black
item.
woman on the restaurant at this famous upscale restaurant here
Yeah,
in Dallas. But also, she created, this is the first and only package that you have that has chicken seasoning and pancake and waffle mix. She was the one that created that, because she's like, if you're going to cook chicken and waffles, then doesn't matter. You don't want to go over here and get the chicken seasoning and then go over here, put it all together. And she didn't know at the time that we launched that it had never been created before. So again, that goes back to the strength and the wisdom and the, we take risk all the time, but that's
yeah,
that ingenuity of black women.
yeah,
You make
absolutely.
something out of nothing.
All
And
the
she
time.
didn't have anything. We were in that kitchen before we even knew we had a product. People were saying, "Hey, can we get the chicken and waffles?" And we're like, "It's a lockdown." So they're like, "Well, can you just send us a recipe?" So we're in the kitchen. I tell you, this is the truth, you all. We're having the flour, the seasoning, mixing it together, putting it in Ziploc bags, okay?
Right.
Mixing up the seasoning in Ziploc bags, mailing it to the people who had been following her with the recipe. Then here in Dallas, our friends were a little spoiled. And they're like, well, can we just pick it up? Like, you cook it and just put it outside the door and we'll pick it up. So we developed a love pickup in the middle of the pandemic.
Mm,
So now I'm looking and going, I'm still not seeing the vision of this, because my mother was sick a little bit on and off, not with COVID, but she had severe bronchitis. My brother had 2 strokes. My former husband had a stroke. I had a back injury. Then I suffered a knee injury. Then you have the deaths of loved ones from COVID. A lot of challenges and uncertainties, because I'm not out there doing my thing in fitness and health. And I can only tell you, by the grace of God, that it happened, by the grace of God. Because there was one time when I was limping around in that kitchen. I could
mhm.
walk. I was in therapy learning how to walk again.
Yeah.
And yet God was planting this seed in us and giving us this vision for this business. And as it turned out, one of my good friends, Rebecca Lopez,
Mhm.
and best investigative reporter here in Dallas,
Yeah.
happened to be with her cooking. And I went in, I think it was her pantry, and said, "Oh, why do you have this?" She says, "Because we don't have your mom's." Never even thought about packaging it. So I was like, "You mean I can package my mama in this bag and and bless other people with it?" And she's like, "Yeah, let's look into it." And that was where it started.
So how long did it take you from that moment to get to packaging
A year.
everything together?
Because think about it. If you're not going to manufacture it, your product yourself, then that means you got to look for a co-packer,
Yep.
food scientists. Um, you also have to work with cooks to help you get to creating the formula, because the food scientist will obviously be the one that seals that deal with that, takes it from recipe to formula. We had to work with graphic artists. Um, we had to develop a business plan. So it took a year. You have to be patient about it, and you also have to know that nothing is going to happen overnight.
Talk, can you say that one more
Nothing.
time?
Like,
One more time.
I mean, we think that things are instant because
Yeah.
everything is instant now. And I think back to me being in business with health and fitness for 30 years, and I'm looking around going, we gotten so, and I'm not saying everybody,
No,
but
no.
we gotten a little lazy. Anytime we making furniture after our behavior, like lazy boy, lazy chick, come on now. Come on,
And then there's that.
that's like a recliner. That's some lazy stuff.
But the
Like,
thing
come
too is
on.
this era that we're in is,
Is
I call it the
automatic.
microwave era,
It's the
right?
microwave, yeah.
It's not anything where you kind of like, so, and even in the pandemic, I was looking at a lot of people like, girl, boss up, quit your job, start this, do that, start your business, get an LLC, open these things. And I'm like, those things are nice.
Yeah.
And those things are exciting the first
Right.
week when you post, I got my business name, whatever, whatever.
Uh-uh.
But those nights when I'm up by myself,
Girl.
when I'm
Blood,
up by
sweat,
myself and
tears,
I am
pain.
frustrated and I'm like,
Yes.
I have got to make payroll.
Yeah.
I have got to pay my manufacturer, for our big bulking our bags and all those things. Cause like
Yeah.
you got to get all the custom bags and everything, and you want to speak to your brand. That's when entrepreneurship is not as fun.
Oh
You
no,
know what I'm
because you're
saying?
going through the process and people see the end game. They
That's
don't
it.
see what you go through because
Yeah.
we're posting up, oh, look, we're in grocery stores. Oh, we're in Targets, but they don't see exactly what you're talking about. There have been so many nights of being so stressed, not being able to sleep.
Yep.
There have been nights that I have been so exhausted and I'm coming from maybe a friend's house or being out on a business meeting and I hate to say this, you all, but I fell asleep a couple of times at the wheel
Hmm.
because I was so tired,
Hmm.
and you're doing so much of it by yourself.
Hmm.
There's been times when I've been depressed.
Yep.
There's been times of loneliness because it's a lonely game.
Hmm.
You are not able to, you are, but you make choices that says, I can't go to that event. I can't go on that vacation because I have to stay here and be intentional
Yeah.
about this business and making the choices that will allow us to grow and scale. So if that means I can't do some of the fun things I used to do, then I have to accept that and be okay with that. But there have been times, even relationships, I've had two failed relationships during the 2 years that I've been in business. Why? Because both times, not understanding that this is my baby.
Yeah.
This is the time that I have to invest in doing it. So I want that partner that understands and partners with me because they believe in me. That goes back to the village that you surround yourself with.
And one thing too, because you brought up relationships. So we're gonna
Yes.
talk about the show
Oh,
here in
what
a
a
little
nice little
bit. Yeah, your
transition.
nice little segue. We're gonna talk about that.
Yeah.
And then after we're gonna talk about obstacles too within
Yes.
like
Okay.
relationships and also business. But that was one thing, even on the show when we're on it. So I'm Jessica Taylor here with Ezra Coffee, and then also a cast member for season 8, Ready to Love in Dallas.
Hmm.
One thing I was telling Tommy is I need my board of directors. Like for any
Hmm.
decision I make, I have to have my board of directors. And Bishop preached about that a lot
Yes,
in
he
terms
did.
of having, because we have it for business, we have it
Hmm.
for our nonprofits, we have everything else. But do we have a board of directors for our
For
personal
yeah.
life, right?
Yes.
And so for me, I wanted to make sure that on this board of directors, I have people who know me, who trust me, who I trust with their decision making, who understand my journey and
Hmm.
as it relates to my faith, who understands what
Hmm.
I'm doing in terms of business, so that when I'm making decisions, I'm not making them because I'm emotional.
Right.
I'm not
Which
making
is a lot
rash
of times people do
decisions.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially when you're a business owner, you just want to fix a problem, right?
Yes.
So if someone comes to you and say, "Oh, I can do this and it's going to cost you this much," you may not always think through, hold on, is that the best price?
Right. Yeah. But
Or
I
am I just hasty right now?
Yeah, but
Maybe I need to look
what you're
around.
saying is so true because you'll have the board for your business, but you need that for your personal life too. And what it is an accountability.
Absolutely.
Because, and I always say this, whether it relates to fitness and health and in general, what we're talking about, accountability partners are great because that's your board. But your first accountability partner is God.
Hmm.
They become an extension of Him,
Hmm.
but you need that.
But something I noticed too, and I think this kind of weighs in terms of where you are within your faith, within your journey.
Yes,
Our accountability partner is God,
yes,
but we go to Him when things was falling apart.
right.
Right. That's when we're leaning the hardest. Like, oh, it's falling apart. I need you to come down here and see
See
about
ya.
me. As the old folks say, I need you to come see
See,
about me. But are we going to him in every phase of the process? Right. And are we
mm,
consistently seeking him in every phase of us building out our business? And are we okay with saying, maybe not right now for this opportunity that
Trinity.
came,
Mhm.
because I trust that the discerning that he's given
Yeah,
me
but you
around
gotta
this.
then think about how we choose when we want to trust. Okay,
Now
so
talk about it.
sometimes we do say, "Okay, I trust in God all the time." Well, no, we're
Right.
not, because what I learned along the way, and I've been out here for what 30 years in health and fitness, and now 2 years in the food industry. I along the way had to learn to decrease I and increase Him.
Hmm.
That was really big because when you start to get stronger in your faith and stronger in your fight, there's nothing you can't do. But when you kind of stray away from him, because now sometimes we think we can do it on our own. And I don't know how people do that. No, I
Be-
need him every step of the
every
way,
hour,
every
every
hour,
hour.
every second, every
Yeah.
day. And so I think it goes back to trusting in him at all times. I see so many people, and I always go back to health and fitness. They go, "Oh, Donna, I'm having such a hard time." And I'm like, wait a minute. Are you trusting in him to take care of your temple? Because God says to honor our bodies.
Yeah.
That's him.
Yeah.
How do you honor him? That's you take the best care of him. He created us.
Yeah.
Jesus paid the price,
Mm-hmm.
but the Holy Spirit lives in him.
Right.
So it's important that, as we talk about this is about not just from a physical or emotional, but mental, the mindset. Having the mindset that you need to be an entrepreneur is not for everyone. Because if you don't change this, nothing
Well,
will
and it's
happen.
not only you changing this as an entrepreneur, you're gonna have to guess what? Change your circle.
Yes.
Because you need people that are around you that get it, even
yeah.
when it doesn't make sense.
Right.
That get it even when they can't see it. That get it when you're on a hope and a prayer and a shoestring budget.
Yeah.
Like you need people that are really going to speak life into what it is that you're doing. Because in so many words, you're going through a wilderness experience, right?
Yes, exactly.
That's something else as well. Donna, what you said was so important. And I
Yes.
think when we think about it more, we have to be very intentional with who we have in our space and who we're sharing our ideas and our thoughts and our business plans and thoughts with. So, again, I'm here with Donna Richardson Joyner. I'm Jessica Taylor with Ezra Coffee. And this is Donna with Mama Laverne's Chicken and Waffles, the only chicken and waffle brand where you can get the seasoning and also the waffle mix in the same package.
And because I'm a health and fitness expert, I made sure that it's versatile. You can bake, air fry, or fry. And I made sure the seasoning can be used for your vegetables, your tofu, your fish, your chicken, or your seafood.
Listen, talk
Come
about
on
it because
now.
there are people like
Come
me,
on.
who can make, well, let me see, cabbage, hamburger helper
But
when I ate
now
pasta,
you got ready-made homemade
yams.
Mama Laverne's.
Yeah, well,
Love her love seasoning.
that's what I have now because, well,
Yes.
heck, those are the only things, but most importantly, can go in my air fryer. So that's what works. But we're going to be right back after this really quick commercial break. So we are back with the So Off Script podcast. I have my guest here, Miss Donna Richardson Joyner. Today we are discussing relationships, but most importantly, this is August and this is Black Business Month, and we are highlighting Black businesses all this month. And so Donna is here with one of my favorite businesses, Mama Laverne's Chicken and Waffles. But we're about to cut real quick. We're about to watch a clip from the reality TV show, the #1 hit show on OWN right now, which is Ready to Love Dallas season 8, in which I am a cast member. We're going to watch a quick clip of some of the individuals on the show, some of my castmates. We're going to recap it and really kind of give you some thoughts of what we feel, and then maybe a little inside scoop of what's going on behind the scenes.
How long have you been single?
I've been single for about 4 or 5 years now. One thing
So you normally are in relationships?
When I can get a man when I can't get nothing to eat, okay? Lemon hers, huh?
Yeah.
Because I've been a hustler all my life. You know what I'm saying?
With Sierra, it's so genuine and it's so refreshing. She's truly like that around the way home, girl. And I love that about her. Out of everybody, I've probably felt the most comfortable with you.
Really?
With everybody. And I've honestly told others that this ain't game. This ain't no game.
What we
Like, on some real talk, I don't know why. It's like we, at one point, I don't know if it was in another life or something, we had met.
Our conversations are so organic and
Bingo.
it's not forced. It's very smooth. And it's like, this is my partner, and it could be
More.
And could be very, very well something more. You know what I'm saying?
That's my goal. I want to be sexually attracted to my best friend.
Right. Are
That's
you
the
sexually attracted to your best friend right now?
What?
Right here,
Man,
in this moment?
we can leave if you want to be honest. If you
All
want
right.
to.
What the
We
hell?
can box it up and we can go if you really want to. Be careful what you ask sometimes.
Right. Maria is making it very clear he is not trying to hold my hand in the park. He want to hold my hand after dark.
So that clip is so funny. I truly adore both of them. Sierra is a ball of energy. She is so funny. And I feel like the first day we just connected, just hit it off at the lounge. So she's a stylist as
Yes.
well, and so she styles some of everyone. And I know her. And then also Marie is great energy as well too. He is hilarious, but he's all around a good person. Just
Yes,
kind
and
of
a
well,
strong businessman. Yeah.
very much so, very
Mhm.
much so. I've even hit him up after I was like, okay, I need some help understanding this, right?
Mhm.
So it's been a really good thing to do there. But most importantly, with this one, we were talking about relationships earlier.
Yes.
Both of them are entrepreneurs. Right. And so you're talking about being able to maintain relationships and how that works. I'm really interested to see how that's going to bud over the season with
Mhm.
both of them having such demanding lives
Mhm.
and jobs within the
But
space too.
because they're in that space, they can probably understand,
Agreed.
the struggles and the time and what's invested. Whereas someone who may work a 9 to 5 job would have no inclination of what it takes and maybe is not as sensitive to the needs of someone who's had the entrepreneur spirit for
Yeah.
years. So they may, to me, it may be beneficial that they're both in that same space
Yeah.
of being an entrepreneur.
I think that's something too when you're thinking about it, when you're making connections, not even just in business,
Right.
but also in your relationship, is being open to understanding the other, right?
Yes.
And being open to understanding something that's different. I think a lot of times I was talking a lot too on the show is, we have, I feel as Black girls, we have our IBM, our ideal Black man. Like he's
Yes.
going to go into this school, he's going to be this tall, he's
Right.
going to be dark and handsome. And then the Lord just kind of slap you with something that's completely
Yes, he does.
now she knows about this completely out the way. And it's just like, okay, well, this is different. And maybe this is something I should lean into because more importantly, you want someone that's there for you, as he mentioned, his best friend, your life partner, somebody who can
Right.
help you grow
Hmm.
in your season and not someone who is
And you
there
are
in the moment.
growing together. This is not a I or me, it's a we.
Yeah.
And I think it's important, as he talked about the friendship. Friendship is the base of everything. It's the
Yep.
basis of a relationship. It's the base of you being married. So I think a lot of times we're so, infatuated with the representative that we send when we're in the phase of dating or getting to know someone. But at some point, you got to dig in deep and find out who is this person at their core being. Like, what
Hmm.
are their values? Do they have integrity? What are the characteristics that are important? Like you said, it's not going to always be about how they look on the outside, but what do they got on the inside? And Bishop has said this. I remember, I don't want nobody who ain't been through nothing. Because how are
Listen,
they going to help you?
my mom always said
How
there's
are they going?
something.
Wait. How are they going to help you, Jessica, when you're going through something?
Hmm.
You got to have someone there that has gone through some stuff.
My mom always said, she said, there's something about a man who done went through a struggle. He done seen
Yes.
seasons of life,
Seasons,
right?
yes.
And I think that's very important. So it actually talks about some of the other things too. But it's important to see that because one lady did a piece and she talked about falling in love with the potential of a
Mm,
person.
mm.
And she talked about, she said, you may see all these amazing things for them,
Right.
but that does not mean that they don't see it for themselves.
Yeah.
And she said, when you get with this person,
Yes.
make sure that you love them where they are.
Oh,
So that if they never reach the potential
true.
that you have for them in your
Right.
mind,
Yeah.
you still like this person.
Okay. I'm giving
And
you a high
that's, I'm
five on that.
serious. You
Mm.
got to be able to like them because a lot of people, the potential you have for them is what you think they should do.
Exactly.
It does not mean that that's what they want
But
to
it
do.
goes back to being open. I always say have an open heart and an open mind because you have to accept the journey it took for those two people to get to where they are, not to
Yes.
who they were, but who they are right now.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
then seeing the vision of where you all can go together, or seeing the vision where that person can go. I like a lot of times we want to control people, because we have this idea of what we want and how we
And,
want
and,
it.
and own them.
And yeah,
Well,
that's
you're only here to experience
yes, amen.
them. You're there to experience them in this place in that time. And I think too, when we look at relationships, sometimes we can get this space where we become a little possessive,
Hmm.
and we not only don't see them where they are, we don't appreciate them
But I think
for
that
where they
whole
are.
possessiveness and control thing, I feel like that's a little some insecurity. I'm just going to be
Absolutely.
honest,
Absolutely.
and I think that that's that person's issues that they've got to work on because that's going to impact the relationship no matter what. If there's the insecurity and the immaturity and the
And there's
lack of
that.
confidence.
And lack of communication.
Yeah.
One thing I learned to, I've learned it already, but one thing I noticed, and I'm really thankful that we're talking more about in this space since the pandemic, is the importance of trauma and therapy. and breaking. When we talk about generational question, I think we all think about it from a financial perspective,
Right, but not from the
but not from a relationship
relationship.
and or in a communication
Right.
perspective, right? So
Yes.
there are even things within, with me and my sister and things how we were growing up that I understood it then, but even now that I'm grown, I understand it, but I don't necessarily align with it, right?
Right.
And so in how I communicate with my niece or how I communicate with my friends, I try to work through things as opposed to just I'm cool
Yeah.
and dismissing them, right? And because in business,
Mhm.
every day you're not going to be in a harmonious environment.
Right.
Every day you're not going to like your business partner.
Mhm.
I can say right now, me and my assistant the other day had a spat.
Mhm.
I love her.
Mhm.
There will never be anything that changes. But the importance for me is I had to learn how to effectively communicate.
Yeah.
What
Yes.
was I even upset about?
Mhm.
And then what was I upset about? What was received? What was delivered?
Yeah.
'Cause
Problem solving.
it's important. You can't
Yes.
just put up a wall. I'm not talking to you. I'm not doing this. Now I feel like there are some times when you can do like you've communicated a
Right.
couple times. Okay, cool. But it really is important there. And so I think when we're looking at relationships and business,
Yes.
communication is everything because you can't operate like that
Yeah, and I
and
think
be
sometimes
successful.
we address the issue right then and there, and we shouldn't because we're reactive. And anytime we're reactive, we're emotional. Anytime we're emotional, we're not going to make the best decision.
Not only that, and it's so funny you brought that up. So that's my that's I'll say
And Lord knows
that's
I've
my
done
trait.
that. Ooh, uh-huh.
That's my trait. It's not toxic at all.
No.
I remove myself.
Mm.
But what I have learned to understand is I need to communicate that
Yeah.
I'm removing myself. And so I'll say to my friends, even I was talking to my therapist the other day, she gave me some advice. I said, I'm not in a space to receive what you just said right now.
Mhm. Yes.
So I'm gonna write it down because I do believe that what you're saying is
Mhm.
valid, but I'm not in a space to receive this. And I want to come back to this when I have a clearer mind
No, I think
and I
that's
can address it right.
yeah.
However, sometimes we just stop
Right.
and that's that. But for me, I have to step back and let me assess it because when I'm
Yes.
angry,
Mhm.
come get her.
But I think
It's
that's
off the chain. And
yeah.
anything is coming out of my mouth. And some stuff, no matter how much you apologize,
Doesn't matter.
is there.
Yeah,
You
but
can't change
you
that.
just talked about the tools of having communication skill set, whether it's with your friends, in a business, or in a relationship.
Yeah.
I think you have to have boundaries that you put up, number one. But number two, you have to sit down and have goals and say, okay, in this relationship of us getting to know each other, what are the goals that we wish to accomplish together? It's no difference in your business. We have to have goals to say, this is what we are striving towards. But I don't think we do that necessarily in friendships.
Mm-hmm.
And I sometimes believe we don't do it in relationships, and we need to do more of that. But to your point, I'm like you. I would like to say, you know what? I would like to have some time off. That means I'm going into prayer. And then
Listen, please take me to the
oh
closet.
my God, yes. Take me to the room, right?
Yeah.
But and that gives you time because you're excited and you're mad, whatever it is, you gotta like calm down and rationalize. And you come back sometimes with a totally different perspective.
And that's why I think your board of directors is important. Because I have
Yes.
some, because I think too, there's a difference between venting and gossiping, whatever.
Yes.
But I have people on my board of directors and I have to go to and say, am I tripping?
Yeah.
Was that me? Like, was I wilding? And they'll be like,
Yeah.
that was you, friend. Like,
Yeah.
you're doing too much. And the thing is, you have to also be in a space where you can receive that.
Yes. That's
And
important.
receive that, and that's why I think it's so important to have accountability people around you where they hold you accountable for your behavior and your actions, right? And so I have to tell them, they'll say, Jessica, you was wilding. Like that was not something that needed to be said or done in that moment, or you need to revisit this, or even to your point, well, how about we look at it like this? I have one friend, he's an engineer. So everything is black and white for him. There are no emotions.
Right.
He doesn't care what's going on. He will always tell me, he say, give me the top 3 facts.
Yes.
Give me your top 5 concerns.
But that's his
That every
thinking process.
conversation, right?
Yeah.
No matter what it is. And so I talked to him the other day and he was like, give me your top 3 facts, give me your top 5. And so he helps me work through it differently. He was like, yeah, you got to take the emotion out.
But
of it,
that's
because
how
sometimes
he's
it's me.
wired.
Right. And that's why you need to have people who are
Yes.
different, right?
Yeah.
Because when I call if I call my best friend,
Right.
she's a rider. She don't care what it is. Like, we going outside, let's meet. I'm like, we can't fight everybody, So it definitely improves. So I think that too is something important. One thing I also want to talk about too was sometimes in relationships, regardless of how much you plan, regardless of how much you are as a friends, regardless of how things arise, obstacles come. within business. And so I wanted you to tell me about one obstacle that you've experienced thus far with Mamas Laverne's.
Well, let me go back before I answer that to the communication piece,
Cool.
because I think set yourself up for success. That means we know that every relationship, there's going to be some challenges communication wise. So if we can't figure out and put a template in place, then let's go see a therapist. Let's go see someone, counselor. It could be our pastor
Or even a mediator.
or mediator.
Yeah.
So that we are now starting the relationship with putting some tools in place that's going to help us be successful. I think in America, we're reactive to after the problem has happened, than being proactive to say, let's put this in place so that we can deal with it and be successful, so that it doesn't become a problem because we've taken the time to get whatever it is, the information, the skill set, the tools to put things in place so that we can have that successful relationship. It's no difference than a kid going to school. Why wait for him to fail when you could have gotten him a tutor to say, you know what, we're going to have this kid be A+ in every grade level at every subject starting off. Start with that game plan. Don't wait for him to be a C or a D student failing, that we get the help. Get the help in the front.
Well, I used to be in K through 12 and higher ed, so I
Okay.
know all about
Yes,
these people.
okay.
Even with the college, they wait till the child's senior year to talk about we don't think about college. Girl, where have you been? We've been talking about it for a while. But more importantly,
Yes.
my mom used to tell me all the time, because my parents are entrepreneurs. My mom always say, have your hard conversations early.
Yes.
And she said, after you have the conversation, make sure it's all in writing. She said, because you want to have those hard conversations when you guys like each other.
Yes.
When you're still in your honeymoon phase. It's essentially like a prenup, right? When people get all testy around this prenup thing, but it's much better to have the tough conversation when you guys are liking each other, and then you can position yourself into how you want things to move thereafter.
Because it's in that process that it kind of weeds out what you need to know about the person.
It does.
You may not even get to the next stage, or you may say, hey, let's just stay here for a minute. But I think if you're waiting, it's almost like you don't want to get to that part because it's tough, it's uncomfortable, but you have to address it. And it's better, in my opinion, address it right up front.
So that's one thing that Tommy has us doing in this episode. This next clip that we're about to look at is we are really looking at people's doubts. Like, what are the things that you're unsure about?
Yes.
And I'm really big on how we label things and talk about people. I'm just very particular about how we discuss Black people and Black women and stuff like that. And so for me, I was like, it's a moment of pause. I'm not going to call it that. It's a moment of pause, right? And then see that. And even when they say red flags, I'm going to say, here are my areas of concern.
Right, there we go. I love that.
I feel like it just kind of pulls some of the heaviness off of how we discuss each other. And it shifts the energy as to how you want to have this conversation. If I told you, I'll say, Donna, the red flags I have with you are this versus, Donna, I have a few areas of concern I want to discuss with you.
It's how you communicate and in the tone in which you communicate.
Right. It provides an openness.
Yes.
It provides an openness for people to be authentic and not to be on edge.
To be reactive. Like, a lot of times we're speaking and we're not listening. You should listen and then speak. But we're automatically thinking of what we're going to say, and we haven't even listened to what the person has said.
Well, that's listening to respond versus listening to understand.
Exactly.
Right? So, okay, so this next clip that we're about to look at, this is also from season 8, Ready to Love Dallas. We have a cool clip of a connection or something. Something's brewing here with two cast members.
This is nice. I hate I'm leaving.
But listen, you worked hard.
Yeah.
You deserve it.
Yeah.
But, hopefully you live to fight another day here. So because Chris has to leave, I want to ensure that he is top of mind for these ladies before we go into eliminations. Just making sure you all are aware. Yes. Of all the great things that the Lord has blessed.
I mean, if she got anything to do with it, you ain't going nowhere.
Love
So
the
I felt
outfit.
it was only appropriate for us to just kind of go on this little world tour of compliments.
You like my tassels?
Yeah,
I love it. Spin around. Okay.
One time.
I like it.
How you good?
I like it.
We just kind of went around and made sure all the ladies knew that Chris found them to be attractive or he liked their outfits.
I'm getting out of here.
Whatever it is that he needs to let them know so that when it came time to elimination, they remember that they did have a connection with him.
I really appreciate you walking me out.
We competitive, so they gotta know, like, if you're trying to sit with some winners, you gotta be ready to stay in the kitchen. So
I agree. I just hope me making this decision doesn't take me away from this process. Leaving the hoe down, I am a little nervous.
all right, cool. I'll see you later. Text me when you're home.
Okay. All right. Knowing that one of the guys is potentially gonna get eliminated, I don't know. I could be in a chopping block. There's so much more I want to explore and get to know with Jessica. I'm not ready to leave this journey just yet.
All right. So that was one of the clips from this past week. And that one is talking about starting new connections. So that's what we're all here doing, is starting new connections. And I think Chris was the first person I met.
Okay.
At the mansion. Yeah, absolutely. He was the first person I met at the mansion when we first started the show. And so I just wanted to get your thoughts on that clip that you've seen thus far, because this is an elimination week and we're eliminating a guy.
Yes.
And so what's happening here is he had to leave early because he received an award at his job, and they were like, we need you here in person. It was the same day we had to film something.
Yes.
And so he had to leave, and I was like, hold on now. We got an elimination coming up. I need y'all to know that I got this connection.
Right.
For the other ladies, because when y'all see me here later on, I need y'all to remember not to put this on your chopping block. So, I was like, you know what? We'll just do a world tour of compliments. Let's just give them one good lasting impression before you head off for your evening.
So you want my thoughts on?
I want your thoughts. I just want your thoughts on the clip, what you think about it, and then we'll dig a little bit into some relationship stuff.
When I'm looking at it, I try to look objectively, and not judge.
Yeah.
So this is so new, and what I want to see is more of you. Let me just start there.
Me too. And
I'm just being honest.
I gave great one-liners and great confessionals. And I even gave biblical one-liners, right?
I'm sure you do.
They asked me at one point, and they were like, I said, listen, these are not the children of Abraham, Isaac, or Jacob. Okay? Like, they are not. And they asked me much, and he was like, how do you feel? I said, my God is not author confusion. And a lot of this is very confusing to me. When they were talking about their preferences in the bedroom, honey, I'm not here.
But sometimes they can't relate, or sometimes they don't want God.
Well, and I think it could be a mix. Well, they kept that one biblical quote because I'm just like, I'm so raised in Black church.
But you can't.
That's all I got. Yeah, that is
anything who you are.
Is gonna be. It's gonna be something from the text.
Exactly.
Because she was like, well, what do you hope for? I said, well, honey, we hope for nothing.
And they're like, huh?
Yeah, we hope for nothing over here, So I think it was very different. But you were saying objectively.
Yeah, and I just think that sometimes when you are bold and you walk in your faith, not everybody is receiving of it or can't understand it, and maybe because of whatever their faith may be or not be.
And then there's that. Because that's one thing on the show too, because you talk about, what are your do's you like, what you like.
Right.
And for me, I was like, let me be very clear. When we go down before the Father, I need to know that we're talking to the same person.
Right.
Because if we're not, then we're not going to be talking.
Yeah.
And that's just very clear. Like, that is, for me, I don't know what your non-negotiables are, but that for me, we need to both be practicing active Christians. Like, we need to be talking to the same person and aligning on the same thing.
Because I've been out I can be honest, I remember going out and the person is saying, yeah, in the universe. I'm like, if you say the universe one more time.
Who's there?
Like,
who is in this
who
universe?
created the universe, babe?
Who's there? Do they have friends? Who is here?
So when you hear things like that, I think you really do have to be compatible in your faith.
Absolutely.
You have to. And it is non-negotiable.
And the thing too
for me.
And the thing too is, like, one thing I know. So I went out on a couple of dates even prior to this with a guy who was Rastafarian, who was a guy who was to the universe thing. I even went out with a guy who was atheist. I found this out on a date because quite naturally I wouldn't have filled in my eyebrows to go sit and tell that. So we doing the date, and the thing is, I understood why he made that change, given his own personal journey and things that happened to him in church. But I also knew that it was not something I was ever going to be able to bend on and say this. Because when I have children, I want them to be raised in the same thing, right?
Yes.
And then even I was telling this to you too, when your relationship about going through something. Even in business, even our podcast, we start everything with a prayer. Even in business meetings, I start those with a prayer. But, in relationships, on the show, I told them, I said, I need someone who can speak for me when I can't speak for myself.
Amen.
Not just direct conversation, but speak to me, for me, on behalf of me to the Father. Can you intercede on my behalf?
Just pray with me or pray for me.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, can you do that for me? And if that person can, then I think we're in different spaces. And even on this clip with this particular connection here, yeah, I was talking to him and I asked him, I said, how do you feel about tithing? Because I was in a relationship with some previous, he was faith based, he was all
Yes.
there.
But
He did not believe in tithing. He had a very big issue with tithing. And I was like, what is this rooted in? Like,
right.
where is this? And he had his opinions and whatever. I was like, okay, whatever. But we also talk about the importance of giving, right?
Mhm.
And your time, your talent, and your intent. And he was like, well, I'll volunteer, but I'm not doing this. And so I bring that up to say too, when we think about business,
Mhm.
you're not just showing your time, your talent, but there's also an element of you that is also sowing and giving and
Oh,
blessing
right.
others without a return.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, with Ezra, we have a scholarship and we give
Mhm.
scholarships to these students to erase the holes on their accounts that they're able to continue their collegiate degree and do those different things. And then I know as well, we donate throughout the year.
Mhm.
We just did a coffee for the teachers going back to school. We did all their coffee for their what's it, the professional development sections,
Yes.
and then even the stuff that you do with your business in terms
Oh,
of sewing and giving.
I can't even see not giving back in some way. When I
Yeah,
think about what I've done for 30 years, being a good servant, spreading and teaching the gospel of good health, mind, body, and spirit around the world, I've done so many missionary programs and helping people, and not just in this country, but around the world.
yeah,
But even having a small business of 2 years, you can't be focused on just the profit. How much profit am I going to make, right? And not focus on the impact. Profitability is one thing, but how am I going to impact? And so I've teamed up with FEMA. Remember when they
yep,
had the Mississippi, you couldn't drink the water,
yep.
the
The
water
water
crisis there?
crisis.
I teamed up with FEMA and I teamed up with Megacare, and we delivered over 1,000 love meals to the homeowners and the residents there in Mississippi. During the pandemic, we provided love meals and we donated products to the firefighters and the first responders. It is a part of who we are as individuals, but it's also a part of the business that you are to get back to who much is required.
Mhm.
Hello?
Very much. So for
To
you
whom
guys,
much is given,
much
much
is
is
required.
required.
Much is
And I
required.
have practiced that all my life. And even with the small business that we have partnered with a big community food bank to help raise awareness, but also to help raise funds to help eradicate hunger.
And the fact that we're still discussing hunger issues in this country and this climate is still just
Yes.
bizarre to me.
There are
But
kids
really,
still that don't have food or breakfast to go to school to
well, okay, so
eat.
listen to this, and I'm gonna go to right back.
Yes.
One thing, so I used to work in K through 12, as you know
Yes.
this, and also in higher ed. And when I was working, I worked in Cincinnati Public Schools and then
Yes.
also Charlotte Mecklenburg. So I done kind of been around the block. But what I never thought about, because you don't think about stuff till you're in it,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
We were getting ready to close out school. And there were a group of ladies, and they were just so frustrated and just flustered.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't understand what was going on. And she said, we don't have any bags this year. Bags for what? We don't have any bags for the kids. I'm like, why do you care? These kids are going home. It never dawned on me that some of those kids, the only meal they got was at school.
Mm-hmm.
So when they went home for the summer,
Yes.
it was not guaranteed that
Mm-hmm.
they were going to eat
Mm-hmm.
every day. And so there was a nonprofit that provided them with meals where the kids could come pick them up
And
and give them meals so they could eat
yes.
through the summer. But the thing was that budget got cut, so they were short.
Mm-hmm.
But more importantly, guess what? The kids still got to be able to get to the school
Oh,
to
to
get
get
the meal
yes. Mm-hmm.
in order to give it to them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what they used to do, what we used to do at that time then, because I was working there, it was on Fridays, we would send the kids home that we knew had different
Mm-hmm.
issues. We would send them home with brown bag lunches so that they could eat Saturday, Sunday, and be able to come back to school on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
The issue came when we realized that the kids were having to share the lunch with the other siblings and parents within the household because food was so scarce. And it it really bothered me.
Mm-hmm.
But more importantly, it convicted something in me because I was just
Yes.
like, the stuff that you got the nerve to complain about
Yes.
is absolutely minuscule in the grand scheme of things. And so when I was in college, I went to Belmont Abbey, North Carolina. They made us do community service. Get this. So if you went to school, the school is not even predominantly white, it's all white. Okay. We had like
Okay.
54 black people
Uh-huh.
on both basketball teams and like me and a few others. Like that's it. But if you received any scholarship or grant from the school, you had to do 10 hours of community service every quarter and 6 cultural events a year
Mhm.
where you had to go visit a cultural event of another group that's not
Yes.
yours. So I couldn't go to any of the black stuff. I had to go to
Right.
something else. So girl, I know how to swing dance. I know I do all the things. Like it's amazing.
I can concur.
I enjoy it. But one thing I was like, you know what, with these kids in my school, I'm gonna see if we can do volunteer. I'm gonna make them volunteer as well. They ain't got nothing else to do in the weekend in the summer. So we started on some volunteer stuff and we did it all focused around food. And it was amazing to see so many of them have an understanding of what their classmates were going through
Right.
and also wanting to support and give back and participate in the space. But like I said, the fact that we are still dealing with food insecurity at this space
At this stage, yeah.
is just so crazy to me. And it's the same communities,
Yeah.
it's the same group of people.
Yeah.
But it was just heartbreaking to see that little sandwich was so important to some people.
But I think because we are so conscious about helping
Yeah.
and giving back, and because of our experiences that, here we are as these small business women owners, we are focused on obviously helping to eradicate hunger, but also helping to elevate humanity.
Yes. And I think that's too true because as your business, as you say, is built on and served with love.
Love,
You know,
yes.
ours is not so much built on love. We love for people to enjoy the coffee. One
Right.
thing we want to do for us is make sure that we're constantly educating,
Yes.
encouraging, and empowering the people who support and believe in our
Yeah.
business. And that's why we tell the story of these amazing people.
Mm-hmm.
So it's never a conversation of what if I can't. No, you definitely can.
Right.
You know,
No, and I think we have companies, but it is about legacy, it's about community, and it's
absolutely.
about partnerships so that you can do more and reach more.
At all times. So we are here Black Business Month. I am here with Donna Richardson Joyner, the legendary Donna Richardson Joyner, also owner of Mama Laverne's Chicken and Waffles
And pancakes.
that you can pick up in Target and also on Target.com, Amazon, and then more importantly on Mama Laverne's website. We are here with Black Business Month. So I'm spotlighting some of my favorite Black owned businesses. But we want you to check out her business linked in the show notes below where you can shop her product and hey, Amazon, you can have it in 2 days because they're on Prime as well. So if you have a Prime membership, go ahead and get you some. We're going to go to a quick commercial break and we'll be right back after that. Welcome back to the So Off Script podcast. I am your host, Jessica Taylor, and I am here with the legendary Donna Richardson Joyner. And for some of those who may not be aware, she is more than just an entrepreneur with Mama Laverne's Chicken and Waffles. When I say legendary, I mean legend.
Mm-hmm.
This lady had her own Air Max tennis shoe. A Black woman had her own Air Max tennis shoe with Nike, might I add, has worked with not one, but 2 presidents, offers by 3. 2 presidents.
Mm-hmm.
In addition to that, she is a writer. She is a philanthropist. She is an activist. She is a health and wellness guru. And then more importantly, I think I remember definitely sure Buns of Sales tell my dad, I said, Donna Richardson, he's like, the fitness? I said,
yeah, now I got funds of
Joyner.
AARP and it's all good. Praise God.
But it's going. So this last clip we're about to look at real quick, we're talking about tough conversations because we started off with that a minute ago about business and relationships, and we're still in Black Business Month, talking about tough conversations we might have in business. And so this week on the show,
yes,
because I am a cast member of Ready to Love Dallas, season 8, I had to have some tough conversations with people, and I wasn't really ready. And so I know in business relationship, you have to, sometimes you can't always get ready. You got to be ready. So we're going to take a look at that real quick.
Jessica, can you step up here with me?
She's our leader.
Oh. All right, Jessica. The floor belongs to you.
Can we have Marvin come to the center of the floor, please?
I am kind of surprised, but kind of not at the same time because I understand that I'm different. I think differently. My life has been different, but I love who I am. I'm happy with the man that I am.
And red.
Oh man, I'm very nervous. I ain't gonna lie.
No, I was in the bottom last time, so I don't know if I did all the work that I should have done.
Marvin, a lot of ladies have amazing connections with you. They're open to some of the things that you're interested in, but it's actually your stories that cause some ladies to have pause to decide if you're really ready for love or if you're just really trying to position yourself for whoever you may be talking to at that time. Red, sometimes people wonder, who are you really? Outside of your job, outside of your stuff, and outside of your connections, who are you at your core? And are you really ready to love? Unfortunately, one of you all will be leaving tonight.
The moment that you think you're safe is when you're gone. Lord, please don't let this be me.
Cliffhanger. So that was crazy. So we had a conversation earlier that day. Tommy was just asking, you know, how everyone's feeling. He's going around asking everybody who you're liking, who you're vibing with. And those two names kept coming up as like not connecting. And I can see both sides, right? I think Marvin is dope. He's a different he's not different individual, but he has a different way in which he lives his life. All right, which is fine.
Right.
Everybody do your thing, right? But I don't know if it was always conducive to the space.
Yes.
And or if some people were conducive, they're okay with it, but I don't want people on TV to know that I'm okay with it too, right? Which is a whole nother thing. And then we have Red, who's there. Red is super cool as well too. But he just wasn't making connections. He's one of those kind of people, I want to do this and I ain't doing nothing else. And that's the kind of thing. So you have to make on this, you have to make multiple connections, right?
Right.
So I was chosen to do this elimination literally because I'm just standing there, of course, as you running my mouth. And they're like, oh, Jessica, you can do it. And I'm like, I didn't say I want to do it.
Right.
And they were like, well, here's what she going. I was like, hold on, where's the cue card? Where's the teleprompter?
But girl, you were already ready for the show. So
I was ready.
Yes.
The doll was ready. So I was like, okay, I'm just got to get up here and not so much wing it, but, you know, give this feedback in a way in which I would want to receive it.
Yes. Right? And you did a great job.
Well, thank you.
Because that's tough, you know.
It is. And the pressure's heavy. And we're still getting to know each other. So for me to get up here and tell you, you're not ready for something, and I really don't know, it's still kind of like, how do I wrap this in a way to where they don't feel something?
And they can personalize it that you're making this decision when you're not. You're just the deliverer
of the message. Yes. Right? And so that's even something too. So quick question before we go into lightning round. What is one thing that you make sure that you do in business prior to having tough conversations, whether it's with a client, with a business partner, whatever?
What do I do?
What is the one thing that you do?
The one thing that I do before anything, I pray. I pray. I get quiet with God so I can listen and be directed about what to do and how to do it.
That's important.
I think, I could be on a Zoom call about business and I'm going to say a prayer before I get on the call.
Yeah.
Everything. I want that guidance. I don't want to do it on my own. I want to know that sometimes when things get chaotic and crazy, no matter what, just stop and get quiet. And then I think you can sometimes have more clarity.
Yeah.
You know,
it reminds me of the scripture that said, be still and know that I am God.
There you go.
You know,
girl.
is there too? So for myself, in addition to prayer, one thing I always ask myself, is this going to matter tomorrow?
That's a good one. Yes.
Is this going to matter next week? Because sometimes I can get irritated about something. I'm like, girl, it is not that deep. Okay.
So both of those.
Real quick, we're going into the lightning round. All right.
Okay.
You get 30 seconds.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask you a question. You have to say the first thing that comes to your mind.
First thing. Okay.
And we're going to run through some of these. So some of these are fun relationship things. And then some of these are business things. So don't even stress it.
So she can say that because she's asking the question.
Whatever.
And then after I do it, I'm going to ask you. How about that? There we go.
Interview those. All right. So, in terms of relationships, we want to know what are your deal breakers?
Him not loving and having a relationship with God.
Okay. Any other ones?
I would say if he is doing drugs or even being an alcoholic.
Unhealthy lifestyle.
Unhealthy lifestyle. Yeah.
All right. Cool. Favorite romantic movie?
Oh, romantic movie. Let me think. I got several of them, but
three.
One of my favorites. I know y'all gonna just. I'm just gonna be real.
Get for real.
I love Grease.
Oh, Grease Lightning.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I love.
Okay, give me a black one. We gotta have a black one too.
What was the one with Morris Chestnut?
Uh,
You know, the
The
famous
Best
one.
Man.
Best Man.
The
yeah.
Best Man.
Okay.
Part 1 or the Chronicles?
Both.
Okay, so you like
Okay,
Best Man.
yeah,
Okay,
okay.
cool. What advice would you give someone who is looking to venture into the food industry?
Oh my, there's so much. I think you have to become a student and learn, research, get a mentor. You have to know going in everything about the business before you decide to take the risk to start the business.
Cool beans. Last one, this is about dating.
Mhm.
This may be kind of different for you because you are a celebrity. So it was one of your celebrity crushes,
Mm.
but we can take a pass that one if you want to.
You're going to take a pass on the
Okay.
celebrity?
We're
Yeah.
gonna pass on
Yeah,
celebrity
that's
crush. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Preferred method of communication, talking or texting?
talking. Who wants to text all the time? And sometimes they text and you're like, what the hell are you talking about? Like,
And what
write
are you
it out.
saying?
It's not Ebonic. Sometimes I don't even know what the initials mean. I'm being honest. And let me just say this. There is a deeper connection when you're speaking versus in a text.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't even understand in the text, or it takes the wrong connotation.
Yep.
I want to talk. Sorry, youngins.
You got to talk to Miss Donna. Okay, so those are the finish our lightning rounds.
Mhm.
I want to thank you for being here today. Thank you
so
for
much,
joining us.
Jessica. Wait, and let me hear this.
No, not you interviewing.
So Jessica, I'd like to know favorite romantic movie.
Oh, I'm not the greatest romance movie person, so let me say Brown Sugar because first thing that just came to my mind.
All right, and you asked me who would be your celebrity crush.
Oh, well, you know I like thick boys, so mine would be Glenn Dorsey. He's an
Okay,
NFL player, and also Marshawn
and
Lynch.
what would you say to someone just starting in the food business?
I would say give yourself grace. Give yourself grace. You're
Yes.
learning and you're growing. It's a day-to-day process, so just give yourself grace.
Thank you, Jessica Teller. It's been nice.
You see how she's on interviewing me? All right. But most importantly, you guys, we are here with the So Off Script podcast. I'm your host, Jessica Taylor. Thank you guys for tuning in. Again, we have the legendary Donna Richardson joining here from Mama Laverne's Chicken and Waffles. And because I know you guys are going to grab some, when you go to purchase, make sure you go to Amazon.com, Mama Laverne's Chicken and Waffles. Also on her website. You can also find them in Target, also on Target.com as well. And another thing too is, more importantly, these are healthy. Ms. Donna's getting back into her health and fitness game all over again because listen, we all need to get back and remain healthy and protect these temples
temple right and
that
keep
the
it tight.
Lord has blessed us with. So I want to thank you so much again for being here with us today and joining the podcast.
Thank you so much, Jessica. And let's give it up for Jessica Taylor.
Hey, thank you.
Ready for love.
Ready for
but y'all
love,
better be
season
ready
8.
for some of that good ass coffee too.
That is most importantly, right? So with that being said, you just tweet this up. This episode is being sponsored by Ezra Coffee and also DCH. So we thank them for allowing us to continue to bring you amazing content and highlighting Black-owned businesses for Black Business Month, the month of August. So if you can't have any other questions or things you want to do, make sure most importantly that you like, subscribe, and follow. And more importantly, share it with a friend as well. And we'll be here back next week with an all-new recap episode of Ready to Love Dallas.